Hi everyone, welcome back. We're well into the semester. We're kicking it at week 4 now. Hopefully this should be a quick update, but I do want to talk a little bit about what we have in the week ahead. First off, again, great job with the questions and answers. I'm really pleased with the way that's going. And again, I think this has been the best I know this has been the best I've seen teaching this course. So really well done on that. Also, I do want to commend everybody in your first synthesis essay. Everyone did really great. I was really impressed at the first round of this. Usually, it's a little bit difficult. Usually, it's a little bit challenging to figure out what. And this goes for anything: first exam, first paper, for any class. You know what the professor is looking for, and then me as a professor, I'm always curious about what the students are gonna, how they're gonna interpret my assignment. So I was really impressed by it. So you did a really good job, really nicely structured, really good work in terms of analyzing the content. So that really worked out well. I would say moving forward, something to think about would really be even digging into the articles and seeing how they connect a little bit more deeply. These are just suggestions if you're looking to strengthen your writing. And then also making sure that you're citing your sources every time you use outside information, just basic kind of stuff like that. One of the things that I notice, and then if you see, even if you see connections back to something that we talked about in a previous phase, you can identify that. I don't want you using sources from a previous phase, but you can say, hey, we talked about this. It kind of reminds me of that same sort of development or idea, something along those lines. You're more than welcome to do that as well. Also, just make sure you're using 3 sources. Most people did. There were a couple that didn't use 3, but that's okay. That's this first round. We had to get all those, work out the kinks a little bit. So good overall, really good work. So I'm very impressed this semester with the work so far. So kudos to all of you. And speaking of work, let's take a look at what we have ahead of us today. We're still in phase 2, the future of the body. This one, I'm not gonna lie, slightly creepy. Maybe I should have saved this for like a Halloween time because it seems a little bit more appropriate then. But this week, yes, I'm going to say something next. That sounds a little weird, but we're going to talk about head transplants. I know, soup's weird. But yeah, we're going to read a couple articles about that, why the world's first head transplant will never work, and why, the world's first head transplant volunteer could experience something worse than death, and then why head transplants will never work. So those are 2 articles that kind of talk about the negative aspect of this, and then we have a video about head transplantation, the future is now, talking about why this might be something that we should consider. It does seem freaky and terrifying, and this is one of those topics that I have to kind of put my mind back in the technophobia phase from a couple weeks ago, thinking I just get weirded out by it. I'm like, no, wait, that sounds insane. Like, why would we ever do this? But I have to stop, right, and think, okay, well, maybe there's some sort of benefit. I'm still searching for that. But again, we have to really put that critical lens on what we're trying to understand, what we're trying to analyze, in order to really think about how something like head transplantation, as wacky as it sounds, might be beneficial in some way. So that's what we're thinking about this week. We have Q&As as well. And then also you have your interview assignment that's due on Sunday. Those are, I always hesitate to say fun paper, but I think that's fun. I really enjoy reading those. Hopefully you found 3 people that are really interesting to interview. I think lots of times interviewing young children is very interesting because we anticipate that they'll have kind of silly responses. And they do, but often when you interview them about technology, they're so much more advanced than you would imagine. It's crazy. And so, like, well, I can't interview like my 2-year-old, but if he were able to like verbalize about technology, I wish I could ask him how he reprogrammed the remote. And my husband and I spent, I don't know, 2 hours trying to figure out how he did it this weekend. Like, this was the thrilling stuff I did this weekend, was trying to figure out how he reprogrammed the remote and then trying to figure out how to program it back. but there's just some sort of intuitive sensibility about technology for young children. And maybe it's just because it permeates our society so much. Um, or maybe things are built so intuitively that as adults, we have to unlearn something in order to relearn it. Whereas a child doesn't have to unlearn anything. They just pick it up and go forward. Uh, anyway, that was like a long tangent to say young children are fun to interview for this assignment. But then also, grandparents are really interesting because they've been experiencing a lot of different technological change over their lifetime. And when we say technological change, remember, we do mean not necessarily just computers, but all sorts of technology. It could be, how somebody used to write letters to somebody. This would be a grandparent question, writing letters to somebody, changing into emails, or how people don't email as often anymore, and what that means, when we're just texting uh, ideas, and sometimes texting stuff seems a little informal to different generations, but seems completely natural to younger generations. So thinking about those generational gaps. Remember, you have to interview three people from three different generations. You can't interview, say, three of your roommates, and you should interview someone that's outside of your generation. So you want to really think critically about who you might be able to get for that. You can conduct the interview however you want, email, phone, any sort of technology. Right? You can mail them a letter. My dog is pawing at the outside of the door right now, so you might hear him bark in a minute. Oh, hold on. Maybe we'll have a guest appearance. Come on, Barkley. Come on. Come here. Come on. Say hi. Hi. Hi, Barkley. All right. Okay, I'm recording a video. All right. So sorry if he's kind of annoying right now. Let's see, what else do I have to tell you? The interview assignment is due Sunday. If you have questions about that assignment as we're going through the week, make sure you shoot me an email. I'm happy to help you out. Let's see, the video has been up for a little bit, so if you have questions about the interview assignment, you can always watch that again, but otherwise I'm happy to help you out via email. And don't forget, your Q&As are all posted. Make sure you go back and look at those different tasks this week too. Also, I should say I graded all your synthesis essays. And they do have feedback on all of them. So if you do have questions about any grade that you have or how to access the comments that I left in your paper, let me know and I'm happy to help you out to access those. Otherwise, have a great week. Barkley, say goodbye. Bye. Bye, everyone.